Connected.
Connected futures.
Connected
Connected
futures.
futures.
Connected futures.
Connected Futures.
Hi, I'm at the MGM Grand right now, attending Executive Symposium, and I have just run into Mike Guggemos, CIO of Insight Enterprises. And I'm the editor-in-chief of Connected Futures, and so I want to just have a great conversation with Mike around digitization. And I know you have a really good point of view, kind of an opinion about where digital is taking the industry today and how CIOs kind of need to prepare for digital. So what are your thoughts?
Well, thank you, Stephanie. I'm going to start with something really basic. Digitization, it's simplification. Look at what does the company actually do? And this is pretty key to me. It's not marketing. It's not different pieces of automation. What it is really simplifying your company, going back to the core of what it's supposed to do so that you can be quicker to react to things and then automate so you can get real-time pieces of information to take action on. That's digitization to me.
So, for example, Insight Enterprises, what do you guys do?
Well, our company's tagline is we build meaningful connections. But at our core, what we are is a solutions company. So we go across our portfolio of partners. We have over 3,000 partners. And we look for what it is that our clients need done. And we build custom solutions to meet their specific needs.
So when you think of digital, how does that apply to what you do in business?
There's two aspects to it. One is how we go to market. And this is really important. Historically, there's been a great deal of focus around operational efficiency and operational excellence, which ties into the simplification and the automation, the other pieces. But in many cases, it ignored what the clients needed. So over the course of the last, I'd say 3 years, we've really done a strategic focus to start spending much more time out with our clients. For example, I spend about 40% of my time client-facing, and that's not trying to sell somebody something. That's sitting in with our partners, such as Cisco. It's sitting in with our large clients and looking at the changes they're making in their organizations to meet their needs, and then try to bring that back inside of our company to be just ahead of what they're looking for. And that is actually key to the whole digitization aspect. It's real-time information, put it into play and act on it, except I'm a human sensor. And then also build the intelligence into our systems so we can see these anomalous behaviors that would let us know real time that a client is looking for something or is frustrated or needs help. So the two go hand in hand. It's deep human interaction and then automation from a sensory perspective to get information in to act on.
And you make a good point. I think with what we're seeing with digital, you've got to know what your end customer needs and wants. And if you don't do that, you're going to fail.
Correct. It's the focus around the technology. And I think as the people spend more time working around true digitization, they begin to realize that's actually the smaller part of the work. It's identifying what processes can you kill off, what processes can you streamline and how, what are your true business drivers, and what are the things really at the core of what you do as an organization, and then come in to start to look at the automation and those whole digital aspects that make it relevant.
You make such a great point because it's not just the technology. You have a cultural change, you have leadership change, you have a workforce change. There's a lot of change happening, and it's kind of the technology maybe supports all that change and will help execute that change, but you've got to make some core changes. And I know you're pretty passionate about workforce and how the workforce is changing. Do you have any opinions on really what you need to do in terms of a culture with the workforce going digital?
Yeah, it's dramatic. I have very strong opinions on it. And I think companies need to step back. And there was a great quote, and I don't remember who said it, but it stuck with me. And it said, you can judge a company's trustworthiness based upon their thickness of employee manual. And if you think about it, when you come into an organization and they welcome you in, they tell you they want you to design the next, they want you to challenge the status quo, and then they drop a book in front of you of everything that can potentially or definitely get you fired, and then make you sign it to acknowledge that if you do anything or know anybody who does any of these things, you're going to get fired. but we want you to change how we operate. There's a major disconnect there.
Yeah, you're right.
And the concept of digitization, for many people to also default to strict standardization, which is critical to it. It really is. But at the same time, it's a standardization of the processes and how those pieces of information flow, while actually doing the exact opposite for the people. You don't want a standard mindset within the organization, other than you want people willing to try. You want people willing to take risk, which most organizations say they are, but they're not. And you want people that are resilient when they make a mistake and they fail. So you can give corrective action, they'll take it, they'll incorporate it and move forward without being beaten up. Most people and most organizations fail at every single one of those markers.
Well, it sounds like you're definitely from that mindset of fail fast, learn from those mistakes, but move on.
Correct.
It's okay to make a mistake as long as you learn from it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say fail fast. I'd say learn quick, move forward.
I like that even better. So anything else in terms of culture? What cultural changes do you think organizations need to kind of think about before, again, as they're going down this path to digitization? Because things are changing and cultures have to change too.
There's a couple key things. One of them is you're not building for forever. So particularly from an IT perspective or an operations perspective, oftentimes we approach that we're going to build this big program or put in this large system, that it's going to outlive us. Odds are it won't. So you're building things to be good enough for the period of time that they're required, and then be ready and willing to kill them. So that's pretty significant. And that's a mindset shift in the leadership predominantly, and then it'll fall through the other people. The other part is in the processes. So with the digitization, again, that's an automation of business processes. The processes can't be sacrosanct. Every 24, 36 months, you go and you review your core business processes to see if they're still relevant. Most people develop their culture based upon their habits. So in other words, your processes over time create your culture. Your culture does not create your processes. And in order to get into that habit of changing things and flipping things around, it has to start with the leadership actually rewarding people that take risk and fail, and rewarding people that challenge.
And do you know of some organizations that are doing it well?
There's some that do it extraordinarily well, and the bulk of them happen to be in the military. And this surprises people when I say that. If you take a look at the special operations community for the United States military, their entire methodology is being a generalist. You have to be good at a multitude of things, and you have to train across all of them often, and then depth of expertise in one area, and be flexible so that the situation dictates what you do. Matter of fact, you go talk to these people quite often, you'll hear them say, well, situation dictates. So depending upon what they're facing, they'll adjust their style, their methodologies, their processes, their weapons. Everything modifies based upon what they're encountering at that time, and they're very small and flat. So a Special Forces A detachment out of the Army is a 12-man team. And they'll go wherever they're going to go with those 12 people, and they'll modify their weapons, they modify their tactics, they modify what they're doing many times on the fly. And that's something organizations need to get accustomed to. And they often reference the hierarchy of the military. Well, the reality is the most effective units in the military do not have that firm hierarchy. And yet corporate, they adopt the scalar chain, they adopt a number of direct reports, and they adopt all these monolithic processes that in the end are anti the whole digitization. They're anti the whole shifts where you want people to challenge your processes. They're anti all those things.
Let alone the organization charts and the layers that corporations instill.
Correct.
You don't need those layers if
Correct.
you want to be agile.
Correct.
So I want to change the conversation real quickly. Obviously,
Hopefully I didn't throw you off.
No, not one bit.
Okay.
Not one bit. I love that analogy of the armed forces. But the role of the CIO is obviously changing with everything that you're up against. Warp speed of business, this digitization that we're talking about. Can you give, say, 3 tips to fellow CIOs on how to embrace this new era of being a CIO?
I should have thought about 3 tips in advance. Yeah, there are. The first one that comes to mind is you got to get over yourself.
Get over yourself.
Yeah. And that's humbling, because the thing that I realized is over the last 4 or 5 years, I can't keep up. I try. I read multiple magazines. I talk to people. I go through YouTube videos. I go to conferences. I fundamentally cannot keep up. The rate of change is so fast that if I actually do the job I'm paid to do, I can't keep up with all these little trends. And that's probably a good thing. So first is get over yourself. You're not going to be the expert. Surround yourself with people that have the capabilities to get the depth of expertise around them. The second thing is get out of your office. There's a wonderful thing that my father used to say, and it was, no good decision was ever made sitting on your ass. So was that okay?
That's okay.
Okay. So get out and do something. So I spent a great deal of time with my teams. I spent a great deal of time with the clients, as I talked about, seeing what they're doing, these other bits and pieces. The IT is no longer in the back office. Whether it's a phone, it's a fax, it's an email, it's a text, whatever it is, IT is the neural fabric that allows those transactions in the organization to occur. So get over yourself, get out of your office. And the last one is enjoy it.
Have fun.
Have fun. There's a number of people I interact with that tell me they're pretty stressed. And at the core of our job are these large, complex systems that fail on occasion. And when they fail, they shut down operations, ERP systems, web systems, what have you. And they're detrimental to organizations as well as one's career. So take the opportunity to go goof around with Snapchat, go play with it, right? Go play around with Twitch and see what people are doing, observing these different videos. Go enjoy the stuff that you get to interact with, because in reality, it's pretty dang cool.
Yeah.
And how many people have, as part of their job, an opportunity to deal with people that get to go play with what's going to be next? Very few. So.
Great tips. Thank you. Mike, it's a great conversation always with you. And I want to thank everyone for listening, and to come see some more of our great videos at connectedfuturesmag.com. Thanks.
For more insights, analysis, and the voice of thought leaders, go to connectedfuturesmag.com.